Hi guys, it's another lovely Monday, and you know how it is. Monday and Friday, we serve you the views from the stand, expert opinion on matters arising in the beautiful world of sports, but majorly dominated by happenings in football. And in this past weekend, a lot happened. It was a weekend where we thought Atletico de Madrid and Real Madrid would set the pace, set the standard, go ahead and keep Barcelona at bay, 3 point and 2 point behind. But then they chose to eat Ogbonna soup, and both of them drew. It was also the weekend when Napoli played earlier and drew their game, and then it was ball in your court, Inter Milan, and everybody expected Inter Milan to work their magic. It is Juventus who's lost only one game all season, but drawn about 13 or so games this season. But then again, even a draw would have been good for Inter Milan, kept them closer. But guess what? They lost by the odd goal. 1 goal to nothing. Juventus won that one at the Alliance Stadium. It was another day to live and survive for Napoli and Antonio Conte. Not like they've lost a lot of games, but the amount of games that Napoli have drawn this season could also become their greatest avenger on the run to winning this title. Normally, they say Napoli wins one title and wait 30 years. It's not my words. Those are the words of Fabio Capello. It's the reason why he said he would never coach a team like that. But having said that, they are on a run that looks like they might struggle and huff and puff their way to winning the title. If they win it, it's fine. But what do you think about Napoli? Do you think that Napoli is going to win this title? Put your comment in the comment section. Let's know. What about in La Liga? What exactly is happening? There is Atletico de Madrid, who seem to be like the most informed team, but then there is Real Madrid, who you can never count out of anything. Yes, you can't count them out of the Champions League, you can't count them out of La Liga, you can't count them out of any competition that they are competing in. But the question I always ask, I like to ask you, and please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. Madrid, is the La Liga title going to end up in Madrid, in the Atletico side, Wanda Metropolitan, or in the Estadio Bernabeu with their futuristic stadium, or probably the Catalonians will come out of nowhere, do a snatch and grab, and snatch it from them, and we will celebrate. A lot of people say that Kylian Mbappe is not having a good season. He's 2 goals short of Lewandowski, who's having a great season. This life is a matter of perspective. Let's go to England and also look at some matter. Coming into the weekend, coming from Dubai, Arsenal had lost their only non-striking striker. Yes, in Kai Havertz, after the injuries that Bukayo Saka suffered, as well as Gabriel Jesus. And everybody say it's end of the road, boys to men for Arsenal. But guess what? Somehow, up until the 80th minute, it looked like that's the way it's going to be. Come on, this is Leicester City. They've not been doing well. Arsenal couldn't even crack them. But then, come at the hour, come at the man. Mikel Merino come off the bench, and he scored 2 goals. Is Mikel Arteta working miracles that I've never before seen. And then when you think about how Liverpool struggled to beat O-level Wolves, it could be said, even though there is 7 point gap between them and Arsenal, and the number of games remaining 13 are not as much as you would expect, but we've seen 13 points overhaul before, 12 point overhaul, 16 point overhaul in the Premier League race and in other leagues. Do you think Arsenal still have a shot in the league? Do they still have a chance to win the league? There is so much to talk about. Manchester United always making their fans to cry. Chelsea started the weekend on a Friday with a 3-0 defeat. They just can't get it right. Well, why are we surprised? The coach already told us from the get-go, I am not in the title race. But then he's changed the slogan. They didn't bring me here to get into the top 4. Where exactly what did they bring him to come and do? To run a poultry farm? To bring in broiler and layers and sell eggs? Well, I really don't know. This is how I welcome you to the views of the stand of this views from the stand. My name is Daffy Matches. You love to call me the Liberty One Sport, and I've got with me the babyface assassin, the guy who got us our first super tanks last week with his looking innocent, looking gentle, looking decent, but spewing dangerous rhymes. Let us hear from Abib. Abib, how is Indiana today? How's the US preparing for the world? Are we ready for? Are you guys ready for the World Club Championship and then the World Cup itself?
Yeah, the World Cup, it's getting closer. And you would know that we would have the first halftime performance in a World Cup final and would have Drake headlining that. And that's really big for the sport. First of all, I know football fans don't like halftime show. Like when it's halftime, we want to talk about tactics, we want to talk about what the coaches are doing that's frustrating. But for Americans, they want to see something different. We had the Super Bowl 2 weeks ago with Kendrick headlining the performance, and it was remarkable because people look forward to watching things like that in America, especially when you had like record-breaking numbers in the Super Bowl last week. And immediately Kendrick performed, they lost about 1.3 million viewers. People just wanted to see Kendrick perform, and that number, Drake is. I won't say he's a better rapper, but he's a bigger artist compared to Kendrick, and he has like worldwide appeal. So seeing Drake perform at the World Cup, I think it would be record-breaking numbers for FIFA. We've been recording like 1.6 billion viewers, but I think we would break like 3 point something billion viewers for the World Cup show.
I would have.
And Drake,
I like the fact that they are taking this. It's not a Biggie Tupac type of rivalry that would ever lead to gun slinging, bullets hitting people, shooting 5 times, 10 times, 15 times. But I would have loved to see a Chris Brown performance at one of these events. And reason is, I think that Chris Brown is one of the most followed artists in the world. Unfortunately, because of the Rihanna incident many years ago, he's still under the black ball. But I personally would have loved to see him because it's different. But I guess FIFA, who talk about peace, unity, and the rest, is trying to benefit from beefing and dissing and all that. I don't know what Drake is cooking anyway, but it's fine. It's what's seeing a convergence between music.
You're actually right. You're actually right, and I agree with FIFA is trying to benefit from the diss that is going on between Kendrick and Drake. Or if you take away the beef between Kendrick and Drake, Drake is still like a big artist. He has the numbers. He has the global appeal. It's the only one I could think of in my head that could do something like that, like that will appeal to Americans and to the world in general. Kendrick, even as big as Kendrick was, Kendrick didn't still appeal to like a lot of people outside like hip hop and rap culture. Many people still struggle to like connect because I watched the Super Bowl with people like slightly around your age, slightly older than you, and they didn't know who Kendrick was. And I won't fault them. Like people of the older generation do not consume that kind of music. So
I think again, Kendrick was speaking to a specific era and a specific time.
Yeah,
what I love with Kendrick's performance was it was a cultural revolution. So those kind of music, it's like Arrested Development, Niggas with Attitude. Those kind of music does not resonate with everybody, but they were beautiful spotting. If you've read the American history and the African American history, you would understand it. But for those who don't understand it, well, I really don't matter by that. Let's jump away from that and come into football. And it's hard now. I guess our viewers will keep saying that, is this show all about Arsenal and Man United? No, it isn't. Tottenham Hotspur beat Manchester United. And I took a step back because of the way Maddison was celebrating, shushing everybody, especially Roy Keane. I'm not one to go against beef, but if you look at the season that Spurs have had, was that worth it? Because as far as I'm concerned, Spurs is just as bad as Man United, and they have an easy running compared to Man United, who's been bedeviled with a lot of troubles before now. So to think that because you beat Man United or you score against Man United is a big deal. I don't know. What do you make of that? Just that moment in the game before we talk about other things.
Yeah, Daphne, we've had this discussion before, but it's offline. And I'll use your word specifically. Footballers live in a bubble. Sometimes they don't know what goes on outside their world.
True.
And I find it very frustrating and annoying that a team that sits 13th and probably, what position are Spurs in? Is it 12? Is having the country to celebrate wins or goals in that manner. Like, are you not ashamed of yourself? Like, you're languishing in the bottom half of the table, and you feel like the best way to respond to somebody is by shushing them because you scored a goal. If you want to respond to someone, the best way to do that is to be consistent and win trophies. A typical example is Nicholas Jackson, although I don't agree with some of the rhetorics Mikel Obi was spewing at him. But because Mikel Obi was criticizing him, he went ahead to score in probably 1 or 2 games, and he felt like he has shot Mikel Obi up. No, you haven't. You further reiterated his point and you proved him right. It's simple. You are not consistent. You are not good enough to lead the line for Chelsea. Because if you look at it in the long run, one of the best ways to shut up criticism is by long-term consistency. And probably at the end of the season, oh, look at my trophies, look at my goals, look at the amount of goals I've scored this season. This is the best way to respond to critique, not scoring one goal or winning one match, and you're going, oh, shut up your mouth. I don't get it. Because at the end of the day, that result in the long run is inconsequential if we do not continue to accumulate wins. It makes no sense. Why are you telling Roy Keane or I don't know one of the pundits to shut their mouth when you are languishing in the bottom half? You've never won any trophy in your life. You've never had the most assists. You are not the most influential player in the league. You don't have star dust quality. So at the end of the day, what's the situation for? Because at the end of the day, you've not addressed some of this criticism. It makes no sense for me. And sometimes, like you said before, footballers live in a bubble. They are disconnected from the real world. Sometimes they don't look inward.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. And I remember when we're having that conversation, Osimhen comes to mind. A lot of other players come to mind. But let's move on to the miracle of Mikel Arteta. This season, he's lost about 10 points to bad officiating. But hey, people say that everybody gets it. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it works against you. But this season, 10 points or 9 points to bad officiating, injuries here and there, lost some due to their own ineptitude, the club's ineptitude of not signing a player in the attacking position last summer and at the same time not signing a player this January in the attacking position. But the Mikel Merino that was the last signing for last summer came on and delivered the goods. It seems like Arteta is a cat with 9 lives. Just when you think he's lost it all, something just happened for him that keeps him going. Because if you look at this season, even though they've been knocked out of the 2 cup competition, nobody expected them to be in the top half of the Champions League. If you look at all the teams before the get-go, but they are there. When you look at the league, the kind of losses they've accrued, that's why when people talk about how Liverpool have been consistent, I kind of like say to people, if you consider the number of matches and points that Arsenal have dropped, and they are only 7 points behind Liverpool, and there's no team behind them that is threatening them, it means that Arsenal have also had a great season. But in isolation, the game against Leicester, I said to somebody that this game came at the right time. Thank God they were not playing Man City, Liverpool, or any of the big teams immediately after the break, after the news of Kai Havertz's injury. But Arteta done enough, even if he ends up not winning the title this season, to be given that, you know what, based on all that happened, you've done well, continue for one more season. Has he done that?
Yeah, I agree totally. Because if at the end of the season you look and you try to analyze the whole season, awesomely, you probably agree with me that injuries have played like a key role in deviating Arsenal's season. Imagine you had a fully fit Kaya Saka, you still had Jesus firing on all cylinders, and there's Kai Havertz, although he doesn't have the numbers, but he plays his role relentlessly. You still have all these players. There's Martinelli that is also out. You still have all these players. I still feel like they could push Liverpool till the end of the season. But if they do not win the league, trust me, I don't think the blame will fully be on Arteta this season. It's like Bobby said on Friday, it's going to be on the board. Like, if Arsenal should finish the season second, it has shown Arsenal fans, the world, the board, that this is the best Arteta can go with this squad. Now it's now on the board to find the missing piece, whether it's a striker, whether it's like a backup or a competition for Bukayo Saka, whether it's also a backup or a competition to Martinelli. It's now on the board. Trust me, I think Arsenal have done well this season. Although some will argue that some of the decisions sometimes are controversial and have gone against Arsenal. Some will argue other otherwise. But to me, I felt every time I've watched Arsenal play this season, it's like, oh, I can't banter Arsenal, to be honest. I can't because this team is a solid team. They can be defensive if they want to. They can be expansive if they want to. And they know how to manage games properly. Like, that's one of the things like many teams don't know how to do. And whenever any of their key players is out, whether it's Saka, whether it's Odegaard, they know how to adapt and win games effortlessly. They did that when Odegaard was out and they were playing this defensive formation and they were very compact and they were finding solutions in ways which other teams could not find. Meaning, if there's no creativity, they could turn to set piece, get goals from set piece. How many teams can do that? If there's no Bukayo Saka, they can rely on other ingenuity to create solutions to their problem. How many teams can do that? If there's no striker, they could walk off Kai Havertz and they could try to get goals. How many teams can do that? To be honest, I don't know. They've done tremendously well. I would never come here and criticize Arteta because I know he has done a fantastic job. The question is, can the board support him? What's the ambition of the club? What does the board want? Do they want Arsenal to win the league? If yes, go out and get him. I don't know. Isak may be far-fetched because probably Newcastle might be demanding 120 million. But I feel like there are players that fit that bill. There's Gokeres, there's Osimhen. There are players that fit that mold of a striker that Arsenal want. Some would also argue, Edafi, that Arsenal have been scoring lots of goals. Do they need a striker?
No, they need a striker. They've been scoring a lot of goals. I know they need a striker. And I think a striker, like we said last week, a striker will take them across the line. The goals they're scoring right now is getting them to the line. But at the line, they arrive at the line where Man City have already crossed. Now Liverpool is about crossing before they arrive. And to consistently come second 3 seasons in a row, if they end the season second, means that the manager have done his bit, right? Because if you look at Arsenal is the only team that has tactically evolved in many games this season. Exactly. From going go. Before, if you play against Man City, Arsenal know that they will concede 4. Play against Liverpool, they know they will concede 4. Now, Liverpool celebrate a draw with Arsenal. Man City celebrate a draw. Excuse me, they don't get beaten. And, other teams, there are teams that beat Arsenal before, and they'll say, we know we'll beat them because this is how they play. But now you play against Arsenal, you don't know what Arsenal to play against. You don't know whether it's the all-attacking one or the one that will score you one goal, sit back, wait for you to expose yourself, and then hit you on the counter. And the funny thing is, you look at Arsenal, you're like, where is the goal going to come from? They don't have a striker. But then somehow, Arsenal have never been known to be patient. If against Leicester, they were very patient. Patient, making sure don't concede. But then Merino came in, and then the game changed because Leicester also were pushing to say, you know what? It seems like we can get something out of this game. Arsenal is tired. They are bringing in a midfielder for a striker. There's nothing they can do. He's obviously going to go sit in midfield. But then that's where they expose themselves. So I think it's a good one. But let's talk about Manchester United. There is so long you can be patient with a manager, and then you will say to yourself, even with the materials you have, you need to adapt. It is clear that your system is also not working. You can adjust in a way. And I completely agree. The kind of injuries that Man United have had, as an Arsenal fan, seeing what injury has done to us, as a Man City fan as well out there who's watching, seeing what injury has done to your season, and knowing that with that injury is the only reason. It's not tactical. It's not genius of players. The fact that Liverpool have not suffered injury is the only reason why they're on top of the log right now. You could understand that, Man United without any injury would be upper in the league table. Same for Spurs. Spurs fans can argue that, but Spurs are shit. But have we reached the place now where we can critically look at Ruben Amorim and say, you know what? Injury or no injury, your tactics is also a problem.
Okay, first of all, before I answer your question, let me address Henry Moro's comments. When he said in the comment from last week video, he said, Habib, like, what's the difference between 8 and 13? Like, Habib telling me there's no difference between 8 and 13. I'm a Manchester United fan. I grew up watching us dominate the league growing up.
Arrogance.
I've seen us win Champions League. I've seen us win league back to back. So for me, as a United fan, It's either you are doing well or you are shit. I don't like in-betweens. And the in-betweens fall in that sixth outside Champions League slots, meaning from fifth to eighth. I hate Europa League with passion. I don't like my team playing that.
I don't like it too.
I hate the Conference League.
That one does not exist.
What the hell is that? So are you telling me that United should be playing in those competitions? So I feel like if you are not playing, if you are not competing for the league or trying to get into Champions League, I prefer you to even exit outside European football. Bobby will argue that we need European football because of our finances, and I agree totally. But as a football fan, it's either you are competing for me at the highest level or you are not. So it's either you are shit or you are good. I don't like maybe shit, maybe not shit.
Yeah.
But to address your question, tactically, Ruben Amorim, should he take some fault? Should he take some blame? Yes and no. We saw Eric Ten Hag last season, and Eric Ten Hag finished eighth. And this season, let's not forget Eric Ten Hag in 13th position. What was Eric Ten Hag playing? Was he not adapting to the players? Was he not playing this far at the back? Was he not playing the counter-attacking football? What did we get from argue that he won us 2 trophies? But like I said, the best way to measure how a team is good is by looking at their league performances. A league performance tells you how consistent this team is in a stretch of games. Manchester United have not been consistent in a stretch of games for the past 2 seasons now. Eric Ten Hag was playing far at the back, was adapting, and he left us 13th. Ruben Amorim came in and tried to change the system, which we believe probably wasn't working, into another system that he was playing in Sporting, and still the results are not the same, are still the same, or if not worse off. So at this point, if you have to take both data size and you analyze it, what will you come up with? There's a constant there. The players, it's not the system. So regardless of whether he plays 4 at the back or 3 at the back, you are still getting the same level of performances and results you were getting when you had another manager. So what's the point of saying it should change? Change to what? Change to what the previous manager was doing before. Because what the previous manager was doing before left them 13th. He came in and changed it to a 3 at the back, and he are still 13th. So if you give any rational person or any right-thinking person these 2 data sets, like, oh, under this manager, they were in this position, and this new manager came in and he changed the system, and they were still in this position, and you tell somebody to analyze it, what would they tell you? They will tell you the players are not good enough.
So on top of that analytics that you've just given me now, what can be done to get Man United upward? Because the only reason Man United are not in the relegation dogfight right now is because the team below them have all given up hope. They are shit. They are horrible. Because if they were fighting to say we want to get, if we were in the era of Stoke City, Bolton Wanderers, Wigan Athletic, Man United would be at the bottom right now. But we have a generation of players who, once they get past the middle of the season and they're at the bottom, they just say, okay, yeah, well, I've confirmed going down on relegation. I still have a contract with the club. I will get paid. So what can be done to get Man United back?
Back to where exactly? Is it for this season?
Back to what you were, no, going forward. Going forward, because it's the same bad players that will be there for you next season. You cannot flush all of them out.
It's simple. I don't think we'll get relegated. I still feel like these players have like a bit of pride in them and they'll save the season. I don't think we'll get relegated. But going forward, it has to be like massive clear out. I don't think we've ever done a clear out ever since Ferguson left. Many clubs have done a clear out. Liverpool have overturned their squad like twice. Chelsea have done that. Man City have done that. Even Arsenal has done that. But we've never seen a complete overhaul from Manchester United. I don't want a situation where they will next season they'll go in and add 5 players, buy 5 players or 6 players and add it to this current crop. No. if we want to change or reset the culture of the
So they should
club,
do in Nottingham Forest an MPFS
yes,
style clear out.
yeah, and uproot everything and start afresh. Because if you are bringing in 5 new players to this current club, you are diluting the mentality of those players you are buying. So they are buying into the rubbish culture you already have on ground. So going forward, and I think there's going to be massive clearance already. Casemiro's contract is up, Evans' contract is up, Eriksen's contract is up. Then you now start have to look at players that they fit and they don't kind of fit well. Question of Bruno, does Bruno fit? Do you need him? If not, sell him. Hoyland, does it fit into your system? If not, sell him. Does Zexi also fit? If not, sell him. So you have to completely look at this squad and be like, and that's up to Amorim. Which players fit his system? Which players does he want to retain? Does he want to retain the likes of Garnacho? Rashford probably has played his last game for United. And there are some players, does he also want to keep Maguire? So there are some questions that he has to like answer and do a whole squad assessment of the players and like, oh, these are the players that fit my model. And it's also a question of finance. We spoke about this last week. Our finances are bad. How well are we going to, how much debt can we incur in order to rebuild the squad? And in terms of rebuilding the squad, what kind of players are we looking for? Are we looking for like younger players that we can sign for a cheap and hope to like build them and in order to like gel with the squad? Is that what we are looking for? Are we looking at established players that can come in immediately and transform the team? If yes, where's the money coming from? Is the Glazers going to refinance our debt in order to like finance such deals? Which I think, because first of all, for the past 20 years, the Glazers have been in the club. They've never put in their personal money to run the club. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who just came on board like a few months ago and bought like 30% of the club, has put in more money into the club than the Glazers have ever done in the span of 20 years. So it's kind of, as a United fan, I don't know where our future lies. And this summer is going to tell me the ambition of the club, the ambition of the owners, and the ambition of Ineos. Even Ineos, there's so much they can do because at the end of the day, like I told Bobby, even if they identify the right players, the person who is still going to sign off on those deals are still the Glazers because they control the finances of the club. And I know how these Glazers operate. This is how they operate. First of all, the scout identifies the players and he tells the CEO. That's when Woodward was still in charge. He tells Woodward. Woodward goes ahead to go and tell Avram in USA. And America is like 6 hours behind England.
Behind Manchester United reality.
Imagine you've identified a player and you want to make a quick signing and you have to wait for somebody who is still sleeping.
That's exactly what Arsenal is suffering.
Yeah. Now, over here, it's 7 a.m. and it's 1 p.m. in Nigeria. So, Joe Glazer will just probably be waking up. And when he wakes up, first of all, Joe Glazer looks at the deal, he scrutinizes everything, then he consults with his brother. Abraham consults with his brother, who is Joe Glazer. And that one also scrutinizes it and looks at the deal, and he consults back to him, and Abraham consults back to Ed Woodward. So the time scale in concluding a deal is quite long.
And there are other clubs looking at that same player. So before you come back, somebody is
so before you come back, they've scooped the player. So that's why our deals are slow, tremendously slow. United fans at the beginning of the window, they're always angry. Why have we not signed this player? Why have we not signed that player? Not knowing how it takes Manchester United, the process it takes Manchester United to sign those players. So when they get back, when they do their back and forth, their blah, 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 the player you're interested in has moved on to another club. That's why you see them at the end of the window, they are scrambling to get deals.
Now, as we wrap up, we have like, say 5 minutes on the clock. So we're going to do this next ones, 2 minutes each. People say that Kylian Mbappe is having a bad season. They are on the cusp of getting into the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League, the round of 16, sorry, of the UEFA Champions League, if they beat Man City. But their Man City can also still, show this kind of form that they showed against Newcastle and qualify. He scored 17 goals this season with 2 assists, just 2 behind the leader in the Golden Boot in the La Liga, who's Robert Lewandowski with 19 and 2 assists. Do you think that Mbappe is having a bad season?
No. Mbappe is a detriment of his own standard and performances. And this is what happens to like world-class players. So players like Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, they've set this high standard that once they are not performing at that level, everyone believes that they are in a bad season. And it's a good thing, and it's also a curse, because if you are not living up to that expectation, the criticism comes in.
You know the funny thing? Isaac have 17 goals or so.
Yes.
He's world class. He's doing incredible. Arsenal should go sign him. Mbappe have the same number of goals in a new league that he's just got into, and he's having a bad season. Isaac is not playing in the Champions League. This guy is playing in the Champions League. There is a possibility that it will move forward, progress in the Champions League. But let's get past that. Man City seem to be finding their grind. It's not easy, but the engine is, simmering a bit. What are the chances of Man City against Real Madrid at the Estadio Bernabeu come up Wednesday?
It depends on what Guardiola puts up. If you watch Guardiola against Real Madrid, Guardiola is always a freak for control. He hates basketball games. He always wants to control the game because he knows Madrid, they like those kind of games. Those kind of games, I call them chaos, where there's counter-attack. They can counter you, you can counter them back. Guardiola hates it. And if you watch him when he plays against Madrid, he's always going for control. That's when he's playing the likes of the Bernardo Silva, the Kevin De Bruyne, players who are in control, who can keep the ball better, and who can circulate the possession. But I feel like against this Madrid, he has to go for chaos. Play your Omar Mamouche, play your
Foden,
play your Cervinho. This formation he played against Newcastle, this set of players I played against Newcastle, play them against Real Madrid and hope for the best. If it comes to chaos, I think they can out-chaos Real Madrid. I don't think Madrid have been doing very well, but I feel like he has to risk it all. There's nothing again for him. He has to just risk it all and just go for the chaos. Plays Bernardo Silva, plays KDB and tries to control the game. I don't think he will come out.
I was saving this for Mario Leo, but he's been very busy, not being available. So let me ask you this. What would save Vincent Kompany's job? Would winning the Bundesliga, as is looking likely, be good enough to keep him on the job if he doesn't add any other title to it?
I think they are 8 points ahead of Bayer Leverkusen already.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Although they've been terrible in the Champions League, I think they are out of the DFB. Well, yes. As long as he wins the Bundesliga, they'll be fine. They're already 8 points above Bayer Leverkusen.
Would winning the Bundesliga be enough to keep Vincent Kompany's job?
Yeah, that's enough. They need to win something this season, and the Bundesliga is enough for them.
And as we wrap up, Hansi Flick, Diego Simeone, Carlo Ancelotti, who's winning the La Liga?
I think it's going to be a fight to the end. I don't want to pitch my tent here. First of all, Barca was ahead with 10 points. They blew it. Real Madrid, we're also ahead with 10 points. They blew it. This season, Atletico Madrid, they've been underrated this season. They went, I think, 14 games, or was it 12 games winning streak?
Yeah, 12.
Yeah, or more in winning streak. So it's tight. I don't want to pitch my tent yet. Yeah, I don't want to pitch my tent. But if I want anybody to win the league, it has to be like Barcelona, because for the kind of football they play, for the amount of goals they've scored this season, it's only fair if such a team wins the league in that kind of style.
All right, guys, there you have it. That is the views from the stand. Please do well to subscribe, turn on the notification button, drop your comments, support us. We will be in Europe if you're in Europe from the maybe the middle of next month. whatever city you are in, put it on the comment section. We just might be somewhere next to you. Thank you very much, Habib, and thank you for everyone who's been supporting this channel forever. I hope Habib has done enough to get another super thanks, more than 1K this time around, and to get a lot of people talking